The liquid hit her face before she heard him scream. Natalie Morgan thought she was coming home to her husband that October night. Instead, she was walking into an execution. 6 months pregnant, a third-grade teacher, a woman who believed in love and second chances. What she didn't know? Her husband had been planning this for 3 weeks. He'd bought the acid, researched prison sentences, taken out a life insurance policy with her name on it, $500,000 if she died. But Natalie didn't die. And the plastic surgeon who rebuilt her face, he was about to discover something impossible. A birthmark behind her ear, shaped like a crescent moon. The same birthmark his daughter had. The daughter who disappeared 26 years ago. This is a story about survival, about identity, about a woman who lost everything and found something she never knew existed. Her face, her truth, her father. Stay with me. Because what happens next will break your heart and put it back together again. The liquid hit her face before she heard him scream. Natalie Morgan had been reaching for the light switch when the world caught fire. 1 second, she was stepping through her front door after parent-teacher conferences, her hand instinctively moving to her 6-month pregnant belly. The next second, everything became pain. The kind of pain that erases thought, erases identity, erases everything except the biological imperative to survive. She opened her mouth to scream, but the sound stuck in her throat. The burning intensified. Her face felt like it was melting off her skull. She fell to her knees, hands moving toward her face, then stopping. Some animal instinct told her not to touch it. "Blake?" The word came out, strangled. "Blake, what did you do?" Her husband stood in the darkened kitchen, a bottle dangling from his right hand. In the dim light from the street lamp outside, she could see his face. He looked surprised, like he had not expected this result, like he had thrown water and gotten fire instead. "You ruined everything," he said. His voice was flat, empty. "You had to ask questions. You had to look at the accounts. You could not just leave it alone." Natalie tried to stand. Her legs would not cooperate. The burning spread across her cheeks, her forehead, her nose. She could smell something chemical, and underneath it, something worse. Flesh. Her baby kicked. Hard. The kick jolted her back into her body. She was not just Natalie anymore. She was also someone's mother. And mothers do not give up. She started crawling toward the door she had just entered. 5 feet away, might as well have been 5 miles. Every movement sent fresh waves of agony across her face. Behind her, Blake still stood frozen. He watched her crawl. He did not move to help. He did not move to stop her. He just watched. "Blake," she gasped. "Hospital. Please." He dropped the bottle. It shattered on the kitchen tile. Then he turned and walked toward the back door. She heard it open. Close. His car starting in the driveway. He was leaving her. Natalie reached the front door and pulled herself up using the door frame. Her vision was starting to blur. She could not tell if it was from tears or from the acid. She fumbled with the handle and stumbled onto the front porch. The October night air hit her face and she screamed. The sound that came out of her was not human. It was pure animal agony. The kind of sound that makes neighbors wake up and know something is terribly wrong. Mrs. Davidson from next door appeared on her own front porch in a bathrobe. The older woman took one look at Natalie and her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God! Oh my God, Natalie!" Mrs. Davidson was already dialing 911 as she ran across the yard. She was a retired nurse. She had seen bad things before. But the way her face went pale told Natalie everything she needed to know about how she looked. "Do not touch your face, honey," Mrs. Davidson said, her voice shaking but professional. "Keep your hands down. Help is coming." Natalie's legs gave out. She sat heavily on her porch steps, one hand moving automatically to her belly. The baby kicked again. 1, 2, 3 kicks. Still alive. Still there. Still fighting. "My baby," Natalie whispered. "Please, my baby." "The baby's going to be fine," Mrs. Davidson said with more confidence than her eyes showed. She was speaking into her phone now. "I need an ambulance at 1234 Maple Street. Chemical burn, possible acid attack. Victim is conscious and 6 months pregnant." "Yes, pregnant. We need obstetrics standing by. Hurry." Natalie heard sirens in the distance, getting closer. Her face felt like it was still burning, even though the acid had stopped spreading. Her entire body was shaking. She thought about Blake's face. The surprise in his eyes, like he had not planned this far ahead, like he had acted on impulse. No, that was wrong. The bottle had been ready. He had been waiting in the dark. This was not impulse. This was premeditation. Her husband had tried to kill her. The ambulance pulled up, lights painting the neighborhood red and blue. Paramedics jumped out, their faces going professional blank when they saw her. "Ma'am, I'm Tyler, and this is my partner, Jess. We're going to take care of you. Can you tell me your name?" "Natalie, Natalie Morgan." Her voice sounded strange, thick. "I'm 6 months pregnant. Is my baby okay?" The female paramedic, Jess, was already wrapping a blood pressure cuff around Natalie's arm. "Let's check. Lie back for me if you can." They eased her onto the stretcher. Jess lifted Natalie's shirt and placed a fetal Doppler on her belly. The sound of rapid heartbeats filled the air. Thump, 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 thump. Fast but steady. "Baby's heartbeat is strong," Jess said. 150 beats per minute. That's perfect." Natalie started crying. The tears burned in the acid wounds, but she could not stop them. "Thank God. Thank God." Tyler was examining at her face without touching it. "Ma'am, can you tell me what happened?" "My husband." The words felt like broken glass in her throat. "He threw acid on my face." The paramedics exchanged a look. Tyler's jaw tightened. Jess's hands gentled as she started an IV line. "Where is your husband now?" Tyler asked. "He left. He drove away." "Okay, we've got you now. We're taking you to Sacred Heart Hospital. They have the best burn unit in the state and a level 1 trauma center for you and your baby." They loaded her into the ambulance. Mrs. Davidson climbed in behind them. "I'm coming with her," the older woman said in a voice that brooked no argument. "She should not be alone." As the ambulance pulled away, Natalie kept one hand on her belly. The baby kicked steadily beneath her palm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She counted each kick like a prayer. Each one meant her daughter was still fighting, still alive, still here. If her baby could fight, so could she. The ride to the hospital took 12 minutes. Natalie knew because she counted every second between contractions of pain. The paramedics kept talking to her, keeping her conscious, keeping her present. "What do you do for work, Natalie?" Jess asked. "I teach, 3rd grade, Washington Elementary." "That's wonderful. What's your favorite thing about teaching?" Natalie knew what Jess was doing, keeping her mind engaged, keeping her from going into shock. She played along. "The moment when something clicks," she said. "When a kid who has been struggling suddenly gets it. Their whole face lights up. I bet you're a great teacher." "I try." The ambulance pulled into the hospital bay. The doors flew open and Natalie was wheeled into a trauma room that was already set up and waiting. Nurses swarmed around her. Doctors appeared, everyone moving with practiced efficiency. A tall man in scrubs stepped forward. He had silver hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He looked at Natalie's face with a clinical assessment that somehow felt gentle. "Hello, Natalie. I'm Dr. James Sinclair. I'm a plastic surgeon specializing in facial trauma reconstruction. I'm going to be taking care of you tonight. Can you tell me on a scale of 1 to 10 how much pain you're in?" 15, Natalie said. "Okay, we're going to give you something for that right now, but first I need to examine the burns and make sure the baby is stable. Is that all right?" Natalie nodded. Dr. Sinclair bent close, examining her face from multiple angles. His expression never changed, but she saw something flicker in his eyes. Concern. Maybe anger at whoever had done this. "The acid has caused 2nd and 3rd degree burns across approximately 60% of your facial surface area," he said quietly. "Your eyes appear intact. Your airway is not compromised. These are both very good signs." "My baby?" Natalie asked. An obstetrician appeared on her other side. "I'm Dr. Patricia Hayes. Let's check on your little one." Dr. Hayes performed a quick ultrasound. The baby appeared on the screen, moving normally, heartbeat strong. "Your daughter looks perfect," Dr. Hayes said. "No signs of distress." "Daughter?" Natalie felt her chest tighten. "It's a girl? You didn't know?" "I wanted to be surprised." Natalie started crying again. "I wanted to wait." Mrs. Davidson squeezed her hand. You're having a girl, sweetheart, and she's going to be just fine. Dr. Sinclair stepped back into Natalie's line of sight. Natalie, I need to take you into surgery to remove the damaged tissue and begin the reconstruction process. This will be the first of several procedures. Do you understand? Will I look like myself again? The question came out small, childlike. Dr. Sinclair paused. Then he said something that Natalie would remember for the rest of her life. You'll look like someone who survived something terrible, he said, and that person will be beautiful in ways that have nothing to do with appearances. But yes, we'll rebuild your face. I promise you that. Natalie nodded. Okay, do it. As they wheeled her toward the operating room, she heard raised voices in the hallway. A woman's voice, urgent and scared. Where is she? Where's Natalie? Rebecca Torres burst into view, her dark hair wild, her eyes wide with panic. Natalie's best friend since college looked at her and went completely still. Oh my God. Rebecca's face crumpled. Oh, Nat, oh no. Rebecca, Natalie said. He left. Blake left me. I know. The police found his car abandoned 2 blocks from your house. Rebecca was crying now, moving alongside the gurney. They're looking for him everywhere. Good, Natalie said. The pain medication was starting to work. Her words felt slow, heavy. I hope they find him. I hope he rots in prison forever. He will, Rebecca said fiercely. I promise you, he will. As they passed through the doors to the surgical wing, Natalie caught a glimpse of her reflection in a metal cabinet door. Her face was swollen beyond recognition, red and blistered, monstrous. She looked away quickly. That was not her. That could not be her. But deep down, she knew. That was her now. That was what Blake had made her. The baby kicked 7 times in quick succession. Natalie closed her eyes as they transferred her to the operating table. She focused on those kicks, on that heartbeat, on the daughter she had not known she was carrying until 5 minutes ago. My daughter, she whispered as the anesthesia took hold. I'm still here, Mama's still here. Dr. Sinclair's face appeared above her, masked and ready. Count backwards from 10 for me, Natalie. 10, 9, 8. My baby. 7, 6. Blake. 5, 4. Still alive. 3, 2. Darkness. But what Dr. Sinclair did not know yet would change both their lives forever. Because as he examined the burns more closely under the bright lights of the operating room, he noticed something. Behind Natalie's right ear, untouched by the acid, was a small birthmark, shaped like a crescent moon. His hands stilled for just a moment, his breath caught. He had seen that birthmark before, on a 3-year-old girl who had disappeared 26 years ago, on his daughter. The surgery took 8 hours. Dr. James Sinclair worked methodically, removing dead tissue, preserving what could be saved, planning the reconstruction that would come later. His team moved around him like a well-choreographed dance. Everyone knew their role. Everyone executed perfectly. But James's mind kept drifting to that birthmark. It was impossible. Coincidence. Thousands of people had crescent-shaped birthmarks. The human body created them randomly. This woman could not be his Carolyn. His daughter had been gone for 26 years. The trail had gone cold decades ago. He had searched everywhere, hired private investigators, checked every database, followed every lead. Nothing. Emma had taken Caroline during one of her psychotic episodes, postpartum psychosis that had gone undiagnosed for too long. By the time James realized how sick his wife was, she had already vanished with their daughter. 3 months later, Emma died in a single car accident in rural Montana. Caroline was not in the car. The police searched everywhere. Foster system, hospitals, morgues. A 3-year-old girl had simply disappeared into thin air. James had kept Caroline's room exactly as it was. Her toys, her clothes, her tiny bed with the pink comforter, waiting for a homecoming that never happened. He had devoted his life to helping burn victims after that. If he could not save his own daughter, at least he could save someone else's child, someone else's wife, someone else's future. Dr. Sinclair? His surgical nurse, Martha, was looking at him. Do you want to proceed with the grafts now or wait for the next surgery? James refocused. We'll stabilize tonight. Grafts in stage 2. He finished the procedure, ensuring every wound was clean, every suture placed perfectly. This woman had been through hell. The least he could do was give her the best care possible. After surgery, he found Rebecca Torres in the waiting room. She jumped up when she saw him, coffee cup clutched in both hands. "How is she?" "The surgery went well," James said. "We removed the damaged tissue and prepared the area for reconstruction. She'll need several more procedures over the next few months." "But she'll be okay?" "Physically, yes. Emotionally," James paused, "that's going to take longer." Rebecca's face crumpled again. "I should have known. I should have seen the signs." "What signs?" "Blake changed about 8 months ago, got secretive, defensive when Nat asked questions. I told her something was wrong, but she defended him." Rebecca's voice broke. "God, I should have pushed harder." "This is not your fault," James said firmly. "The only person responsible for this is the man who attacked her." "Have they found him yet?" "I don't know, but the police are here. They want to take Natalie's statement when she wakes up." Detective Marcus Sullivan appeared from around the corner as if summoned. He was a broad-shouldered man in his mid-40s, with a face that had seen too much but still managed to look kind. "Dr. Sinclair," he said, "can I speak with you about the victim?" "Of course." They moved to a private consultation room. Detective Sullivan pulled out a notebook. "What can you tell me about her injuries?" "Second and third degree chemical burns across approximately 60% of her facial surface area. Eyes intact. Airways clear. No other injuries apparent. Fetus is healthy and showing no distress." "Fetus?" "She's 6 months pregnant." Detective Sullivan's jaw tightened. He attacked a pregnant woman. "Yes." The detective wrote something down with more force than necessary. "We found Blake Warren's car 2 blocks from the scene. Keys still in the ignition. Driver's door open. He fled on foot." "Any idea where he went?" "Not yet, but we found his laptop in the car. He apparently forgot it in his rush to leave." Detective Sullivan's expression turned grim. "Do you want to know what we found on that laptop?" James nodded. Gambling websites, dozens of them. Chat logs with loan sharks. He owed $60,000. James felt his stomach drop. "Did Natalie know?" "According to her bank statements, their joint savings account was empty 3 weeks ago. Every penny, and he took out a second mortgage on their house without her knowledge, forged her signature. That's fraud. That's the least of his problems. We also found text messages." The detective pulled out his phone and read aloud. "From a woman named Vanessa Cole. She works at the same financial consulting firm as Blake. The messages go back 8 months. They're having an affair." 8 months. Natalie's entire pregnancy. "Does Natalie know?" James asked. "We'll have to tell her when she wakes up." James thought about the woman on his operating table. Disfigured, pregnant, financially ruined, and now she would learn her husband had been cheating on her the entire time. How much could one person take? "I want to be there when you tell her," he said. "Oui, say." James hesitated. Then he said, "Because nobody should hear news like that alone." Detective Sullivan studied him for a moment. Then he nodded. "All right, I'll let you know when she's conscious." James checked on Natalie in recovery. She was still sedated, breathing steadily through an oxygen mask. Bandages covered most of her face. Only her eyes and mouth were visible. He looked at her chart. Age 29. Born June 1996. No listed family. Emergency contact was Rebecca Torres, friend. No parents, no siblings, no one. Just like Caroline would be now. 29 years old, alone in the world. James shook his head. He was being irrational. The birthmark meant nothing. It was wishful thinking. Grief playing tricks after all these years. But as he left the recovery room, he could not help pulling out his phone and looking at the photo he kept in a locked folder. Carolyn at age 3, smiling, happy, unaware that in 2 weeks her entire life would shatter. He zoomed in on the photo. Behind her right ear, just barely visible in the sunlight, was a small crescent moon-shaped birthmark, exactly like Natalie's. James closed the photo and went to his office. He would check on Natalie in a few hours. For now, he needed to think, to breathe, to convince himself he was not going crazy. But in his file cabinet, buried under years of paperwork, was Caroline's missing persons report. He found himself pulling it out, reading it for the thousandth time. Caroline Marie Sinclair, disappeared June 15th, 1999. Age 3, brown hair, hazel eyes, crescent moon birthmark behind right ear, last seen with mother Emma Sinclair. Mother later found deceased in car accident. Child never recovered. Presumed dead after 5 years, case closed. But James had never closed the case in his heart. He had searched for 15 years before finally accepting she was gone. Not dead, just gone. Somewhere into the system. Lost in the shuffle. A Jane Doe who aged out of foster care without ever knowing who she really was. He looked at Natalie's intake form again. Foster care background. No memory of biological parents. Aged out at 18. No, it was impossible. Thousands of girls matched that description. The birthmark was a coincidence. He was seeing patterns where none existed. But what if? James put the file away and returned to the recovery room. Natalie was starting to stir. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and confused. Natalie, he said gently, I'm Dr. Sinclair. You're in the hospital. You had surgery. Do you remember what happened? Her eyes found his face. For a moment they were blank. Then memory returned and her whole body tensed. Blake, she whispered. He threw acid. Yes, but you're safe now. The surgery went well. My baby? Your daughter is perfectly healthy. Tears leaked from the corners of her eyes. Daughter, I have a daughter. You do. Natalie's hand moved to her face, but James caught it gently. Don't touch yet. The wounds need to heal. How bad? James paused. Then he decided she deserved honesty. Significant damage, but repairable. We'll do this in stages. Today we stabilized. Next week we start reconstruction. Will I be me again? Such a simple question. Such a complicated answer. You'll always be you, James said. Your face might change, but you are more than your face. Natalie closed her eyes. Easy for you to say. You didn't lose yours. Fair point. Rebecca appeared in the doorway. Nat? Oh, thank God you're awake. Rebecca, Natalie's voice broke. Did they find him? Not yet, but they will. Detective Sullivan entered behind Rebecca. Mrs. Warren, I'm Detective Marcus Sullivan. I need to ask you some questions if you're up for it. Okay. The detective pulled up a chair. Can you tell me what happened tonight? Natalie spoke slowly, her voice rough from the breathing tube. She described coming home from parent-teacher conferences, finding Blake in the darkened kitchen, the bottle in his hand. He said I ruined everything, she finished. He said I should have left it alone. Left what alone? I don't know. I found some charges on our credit card last week. Gambling websites. I asked him about it. Her face, what was visible of it, twisted. That's what got me this. Asking questions. Detective Sullivan exchanged glances with James. Mrs. Warren, we found Blake's laptop in his abandoned car. There are some things you need to know. He told her about the gambling debts, the second mortgage, the stolen savings. Natalie listened without expression. Then he told her about Vanessa, about the affair that had lasted 8 months, the entire length of her pregnancy. Natalie was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was eerily calm. Did you say 8 months? Yes, ma'am. My entire pregnancy. Yes, I see. Natalie stared at the ceiling. He met someone while I was growing his baby. He stole everything while I was planning our future. And then he tried to kill me because I found out. That's what the evidence suggests. Good. I want him in prison for the rest of his life. We're doing everything we can to find him. After the detective left, Rebecca pulled up a chair next to Natalie's bed. I'm so sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. Not your fault. I should have. Stop. Natalie's voice was firm despite her injuries. This is not on you. This is on Blake, only Blake. They sat in silence for a while. Then Natalie asked the question James had been dreading. Rebecca, tell me the truth. How bad is my face? Rebecca's pause said everything. That bad, Natalie whispered. It's going to be okay, Rebecca said. Dr. Sinclair is the best. Everyone says so. He'll fix this. But both women knew some things could not be fixed. Not completely. Not ever. James left them alone and went back to his office. It was 3 in the morning. He should go home. Get some sleep. Come back in the morning. Instead, he sat at his desk and stared at the two photos side by side. Caroline at 3, Natalie's intake photo. The birthmarks matched perfectly. He made a decision. Pulling out his phone, he called the genetics lab at the hospital. This is Dr. Sinclair. I need to arrange a DNA test, paternity test. Rush processing. The technician on the other end asked for details. James gave them. I'll need a sample from the patient, the technician said. I can get that in the morning. Just set it up. James hung up and immediately questioned his decision. What was he doing? This was insane. He was grasping at straws, seeing connections that did not exist. But he could not let it go. Not until he knew for sure. If there was even a chance that Natalie was Caroline, he had to know, even if the answer broke his heart all over again. 1 week later, Natalie had her first bandage change. She had been dreading this moment. The nurses said the wounds were healing well. Dr. Sinclair said the reconstruction could begin soon. Everyone was optimistic, but none of that mattered because today she would see her face. Rebecca sat beside her, holding her hand. Dr. Sinclair stood nearby with a mirror wrapped in a towel. Are you ready? He asked. Does it matter? Natalie replied. You can wait if you need more time. No, let's get this over with. Dr. Sinclair carefully removed the bandages, layer after layer. Natalie felt air hit her skin for the first time in a week. It felt strange, exposed. When the last bandage came off, Rebecca's sharp inhale told Natalie everything. Mirror, Natalie said. Natalie! Give me the mirror, Dr. Sinclair. He handed it over. Natalie looked. The woman in the mirror was not her. Could not be her. This woman had swollen, discolored skin stretched tight over her bones. Red patches mixed with white patches, mixed with sections of missing skin that had been debrided away. Her face looked like a topographical map of a foreign country. She stared for a long time. Then she touched her face with one tentative finger. The sensation was dull, muted. Parts of her face had lost feeling. I don't recognize myself, she said. That's normal, Dr. Sinclair said gently. Your face is still healing. Once we start reconstruction, will I ever look like me again? Silence. I'll be honest with you, Dr. Sinclair said. You will look different, but we can rebuild your features. Give you a face you can recognize as yours. It won't be exactly what you had, but it will be you. Natalie handed back the mirror. Her baby kicked. 1, 2, 3. I'm still here, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. I'm still here. You are, Dr. Sinclair agreed. Then he asked the question that would change everything. Natalie, I need to ask you something. Do you know anything about your biological family? Natalie looked at him in surprise. No, I was in foster care. No records. Why? Dr. Sinclair hesitated. His eyes moved to her right ear. That birthmark behind your ear. It's distinctive. Natalie reached up automatically. She had forgotten about the birthmark. She had had it her whole life, barely noticed it anymore. Distinctive how? Another pause. Dr. Sinclair looked like he was choosing his words carefully. I'm going to ask you something that might sound strange, but please hear me out. Okay? Would you be willing to do a DNA test? A paternity test specifically? The room went silent. Rebecca's hand tightened around Natalie's. Natalie stared at the doctor. Why? Dr. Sinclair pulled out his phone. He scrolled to a photo and handed it to her. The photo showed a little girl, maybe 3 years old, with brown hair and a bright smile. She wore a yellow sundress and held a teddy bear. Behind her right ear, barely visible in the sunlight, was a small birthmark, shaped like a crescent moon. This is my daughter, Dr. Sinclair said quietly. Caroline. She disappeared 26 years ago. She'd be your age now. Natalie looked at the photo, at the birthmark, at the doctor. You think I'm your daughter? I think it's possible. The birthmark, your age, your foster care background, your lack of early memories. All of it fits. Fits what? Dr. Sinclair sat down. He looked exhausted. My ex-wife Emma suffered from postpartum psychosis after Caroline was born. We didn't understand how serious it was. One day she just took Caroline and disappeared. We searched everywhere. 3 months later, Emma died in a car accident in Montana. Caroline wasn't in the car. The police looked for her foster system. Hospitals? Nothing. He paused. The theory was that Emma left Caroline somewhere before the accident. Maybe with a stranger, maybe at a fire station. We'll never know. But a 3-year-old girl was placed into foster care in Montana around that time, listed as a Jane Doe. No one ever connected her to Caroline. Natalie felt like the floor was tilting. Montana? Yes. Does that mean something? My first memory is being in a foster home in Billings. I was maybe 3 or 4. I don't remember anything before that. Rebecca's hand was trembling now. Nat, oh my God, Nat. How would we know for sure? Natalie asked. DNA test, paternity test. If you're Caroline, it'll be definitive. Natalie looked at the photo again, at the little girl who might be her, at the teddy bear she did not remember, at the smile that felt like it belonged to someone else. What if I'm not? Then I've made a fool of myself and I apologize for putting you through this. What if I am? Dr. Sinclair's voice broke slightly. Then I've found my daughter after 26 years. Natalie handed back the phone. Her mind was spinning. Her face hurt. Her baby was kicking. And now this. Okay, she said. Do the test. Are you sure? Why not? This week can't get any stranger. Dr. Sinclair smiled slightly. It was the first time Natalie had seen him smile. I'll arrange it this afternoon. After he left, Rebecca turned to Natalie with wide eyes. What if it's true, she whispered. Then I had a father this whole time, and I didn't know. A father who's been looking for you. Or maybe it's just a weird coincidence, and I'm getting my hopes up for nothing. Natalie closed her eyes. I can't think about this right now. I have too much else to deal with. But she could not stop thinking about it. That night, alone in her hospital room, she stared at the ceiling and tried to remember anything from before age 4. There were fragments, a woman singing, the smell of lavender, a blue blanket. But that was it. Nothing concrete, nothing she could grasp. If she was Caroline Sinclair, she had lost 26 years with her father. 26 years of family, of belonging, of having someone who was hers. If she was not Caroline Sinclair, she was just a foster kid who had gotten unlucky twice. Once when her real family abandoned her. Once when her husband tried to kill her. Either way, her old life was gone. She was starting over whether she wanted to or not. The baby kicked. Hard. Natalie put her hand on her belly. Hey, baby girl, your mama's life is a mess right now. But I promise you this. Whatever happens, you're going to be loved. So loved. The baby kicked again, 7 times in quick succession. Natalie counted each one, her only certainty in a world that had become unrecognizable. 3 days later, Detective Sullivan returned with news. We found Blake Warren, he said. Natalie sat up straight. Where? Pennsylvania, hiding in an abandoned hunting cabin about 30 miles outside Harrisburg. Pennsylvania State Police took him into custody this morning. Is he coming back here? Yes, we're extraditing him for attempted murder. The DA wants him here for trial. Natalie felt a strange mix of relief and rage. Relief that he was caught. Rage that he had run in the first place. Did he say anything? Detective Sullivan's expression darkened. He did, but you're not going to like it. Tell me anyway. He claims you were controlling, that you made his life miserable, that he just snapped. Natalie laughed. It came out bitter. Of course he did. There's more. Blake's mistress, Vanessa Cole, contacted us. She wants to make a statement. Why? She says she didn't know about the attack, that Blake lied to her about everything. She wants to cooperate with the investigation. She slept with my husband while I was pregnant, and now she wants absolution? She wants to help put him away. Natalie considered this. Then she said, fine, let her testify. The more evidence, the better. Detective Sullivan nodded. We also found something disturbing on Blake's computer. He purchased the acid 3 weeks before the attack. He searched prison sentence acid attack multiple times. This wasn't a moment of passion. He planned this. 3 weeks. He had spent 3 weeks planning to disfigure her. Natalie's hand moved to her face, touching the bandages. He wanted to destroy me. Yes. He wanted me gone so he could start over with her. That's what it looks like. Natalie was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, Do you have daughters, Detective Sullivan? 3 of them. Then you understand why I need to see this through, why I need him in prison for the rest of his life. I understand completely. After he left, Grace Holloway, the hospital social worker, arrived with a stack of paperwork. Natalie, we need to discuss your finances. I don't have any. Blake took everything. I know, but there's more. Grace's face was sympathetic. Blake took out a second mortgage on your house. He forged your signature. The bank is foreclosing. Natalie felt the air leave her lungs. What? You're going to lose the house. I'm sorry. Where am I supposed to go? That's what I'm here to help you figure out. There are resources for domestic violence victims, emergency housing, financial assistance. I'm a teacher. I have income. Your salary has been garnished for debts Blake created in your name. Credit cards he maxed out. Loans he took. He stole your identity along with everything else. Natalie stared at Grace. 6 months pregnant, disfigured, financially ruined, homeless. I can't do this, she whispered. I can't survive this. Grace sat down beside her. Yes, you can. It doesn't feel like it right now, but you're stronger than you think. How can you possibly know that? Because you're still here. He tried to kill you and you crawled to that door. You protected your baby. You survived. That takes incredible strength. The baby kicked. Natalie counted, 1 through 10. I don't feel strong. Strength isn't a feeling, it's a choice, and you're choosing to keep going. That's enough. After Grace left with a plan for emergency housing assistance, Natalie sat alone in the darkened hospital room. It was 2 in the morning. The baby was restless, kicking constantly. Natalie could not sleep. She organized her bedside table, moved the water pitcher to the center, lined up the tissue box perpendicular to it, arranged her phone charger in a perfect coil. If she could control this tiny space, maybe the chaos would not drown her. It did not work, but she kept trying anyway. Rebecca found her the next morning, the bedside table rearranged 6 different ways, Natalie staring at it with exhausted eyes. Nat, did you sleep at all? No. Want to talk about it? I lost everything, Beck. My face, my house, my savings, my marriage. Everything. You didn't lose your baby. Not yet. But what kind of mother am I going to be? I can't even look at myself without wanting to throw up. How is my daughter going to look at me? Rebecca grabbed both Natalie's hands. Listen to me. Your daughter is going to see a survivor, a fighter, a woman who refused to die. That's her mother. Or she'll see a monster. Stop. Stop right now. Rebecca's voice was fierce. Blake did this, not you. He's the monster. You're the victim who became a survivor. Natalie wanted to believe her, but late at night, alone in the dark, all she could think about was that face in the mirror. Unrecognizable, ruined, gone. 3 days later, Dr. Sinclair requested a private meeting. He brought a genetics counselor and a hospital administrator. Protocol, he explained, for situations like this. Natalie knew what it meant. The DNA results were back. Her hands started shaking before he even opened the envelope. Dr. Sinclair sat across from her. His hands were shaking too. Natalie, he said quietly, the results are conclusive. 99.99% probability. Silence. You're my daughter. You're Caroline. The room tilted. Natalie gripped the armrests of her chair. Say that again. You're my daughter. I've found you. After 26 years, I've found you. Natalie stared at him, at this man who was suddenly her father, at the stranger who had been searching for her while she bounced through 6 foster homes, while she aged out at 18, while she put herself through college, while she married Blake, while she nearly died. I had a father this whole time? Her voice rose. Where were you? Dr. Sinclair flinched, looking in all the wrong places. Your mother used fake names when she ran. By the time we found her body, the trail was cold. You'd been placed under a different name. Jane Doe turned Morgan when you were adopted by the state. I was never adopted. I aged out. I know. I'm so sorry. The system failed you. I failed you. Yes, you did. The words hung in the air, harsh. True. I searched for 15 years, Dr. Sinclair said. His voice was thick. Private investigators. Every database. Every lead. I never stopped looking. But the trail was dead. I thought you were dead. I wasn't dead. I was right here, growing up alone, wondering why nobody wanted me. I wanted you. God, Caroline, I wanted you every single day. Don't call me that. Natalie stood up. My name is Natalie. I don't know anyone named Caroline. She walked to the window. Her baby kicked. She counted, 1 through 15. Behind her, she heard Dr. Sinclair stand. I understand if you're angry, he said. You have every right to be. But Natalie, you're my daughter. And your baby is my granddaughter. That means something. It has to mean something. Natalie turned around. My baby needs a grandfather, but I need time to process having a father. Take all the time you need. I've waited 26 years. I can wait longer. Can you? Because you found me in the worst moment of my life. I'm disfigured, pregnant, terrified, and now you're telling me my entire identity is a lie. Your identity isn't a lie. You're still you. You're just also my daughter. Natalie laughed. It came out broken. I don't know who I am anymore. I look in the mirror and I don't see me. I look at my past and it all feels fake. Everything I thought I knew is gone. Not everything. Your strength is real. Your survival is real. Your baby is real. Is that supposed to make me feel better? No, but it's true. They stood there, father and daughter, strangers connected by DNA and tragedy. Finally, Natalie said, I need you to leave now. Dr. Sinclair nodded. I'll go, but Natalie, I'm not going anywhere. Even if you never call me Dad, even if you never forgive me, I'm staying. I'm here. After he left, Natalie broke down. She cried until she threw up, screamed into her pillow, looked at her destroyed face in the mirror, and hated everything about her life. The baby kicked through all of it, constant, steady, refusing to let Natalie forget that she had someone depending on her. Eventually, Natalie calmed down enough to breathe. She touched her belly. I'm sorry, baby girl. Your mama's a mess, but I promise I'm going to get it together. Somehow. The baby kicked 7 more times. Natalie counted each one and started planning her future. Because even if everything else was gone, she still had this. Her daughter, her reason to keep fighting. And maybe, eventually, a father who had never stopped looking. 2 weeks after the DNA revelation, Natalie finally let Dr. Sinclair back into her room. He entered carefully, like approaching a wounded animal, which Natalie supposed was accurate. Thank you for seeing me, he said. I'm not doing this for you. My baby needs prenatal care and you're the best doctor here. I'll take what I can get. He examined her face, his touch clinical and gentle. The wounds were healing well, no infection, swelling going down. In another week, they could start reconstruction. Your recovery is going better than expected, he said. Great, will I look human again? Natalie, sorry, that was unfair. She took a breath. I'm trying, but everything feels impossible right now. Dr. Sinclair sat down. May I tell you about your mother, the real her, before the illness? Natalie considered refusing, but some part of her wanted to know, needed to know. Okay. Emma loved art. She painted murals, dreamed of teaching. You, Caroline, you were her joy. She used to sing to you every night. Lavender lullabies, she called them. She'd rub lavender lotion on your arms and sing until you fell asleep. Natalie went very still. Lavender? Yes. Why? I have this memory, a fragment, a woman singing, the smell of lavender. I always thought I made it up. You didn't make it up. That was Emma. That was your mother. Tears started falling before Natalie could stop them. What happened to her? Why did she take me? Postpartum psychosis. It's a severe mental illness that can develop after childbirth. Emma started having delusions, paranoid thoughts. She became convinced that people were trying to hurt you, that I was part of some conspiracy. He paused, pain clear in his voice. I tried to get her help, but back then we didn't understand how serious it was. One morning I woke up and you were both gone. She left a note saying she was protecting you, that she'd bring you back when it was safe. But she died instead. Yes, the car accident was ruled as single vehicle, no other factors. She just drove off the road. Maybe she fell asleep. Maybe the psychosis made her see something that wasn't there. We'll never know. And I wasn't in the car. No, the police think she left you somewhere hours before the accident, maybe with a stranger she trusted in her delusional state, maybe at a church or fire station. You were found 3 days later, wandering alone in a park. No ID couldn't or wouldn't tell anyone your name. Natalie processed this. I don't remember any of it. Maybe that's a mercy. You don't remember the worst parts. But I also don't remember the good parts. I don't remember you, or her, or being loved. Dr. Sinclair's voice broke. You were loved, so deeply loved. Emma and I, before the illness, we were happy. You were our whole world. Until I wasn't. You always were, even when you were gone, especially when you were gone. They sat in silence for a while. Then Natalie asked, did you ever remarry? No, I couldn't. Every woman I met I'd compare to Emma. Every child I saw, I'd wonder if they were you. He smiled sadly. I kept your room exactly the same. Your toys, your clothes, your tiny bed with the pink comforter. Waiting. That's heartbreaking. That's fatherhood. The baby kicked. Dr. Sinclair noticed. May I? He asked, gesturing to her belly. Natalie hesitated, then nodded. He placed his hand gently on her stomach. The baby kicked against his palm, his eyes filled with tears. Hello, little one, he whispered. I'm your grandfather, and I already love you so much. Watching him, Natalie felt something crack in her chest. This man had spent 26 years searching, grieving, hoping. He had found her in the worst possible moment and stayed anyway. I don't know how to do this, she admitted. I don't know how to have a father. I don't know how to be a father to a grown daughter, so we'll figure it out together. I'm still angry. You have every right to be. And I'm scared of everything, of Blake's trial, of being a mother, of whether my daughter will be afraid of my face. Your daughter will know your voice, your touch, your love. That's what matters. Natalie wanted to believe him, but the fear lived in her bones now, constant and heavy. That night, she asked a nurse for a mirror. The nurse hesitated, but brought one. Natalie looked at herself, really looked. Her face was still swollen and discolored, but she could see the shape of it now. The reconstruction would start next week. Dr. Sinclair would rebuild her cheekbones, her nose, her forehead. She would have a new face, different from before, different from Blake's handiwork, something in between. She touched her reflection. The glass was cold against her fingertip. Hello, she whispered. I don't know you yet, but I'm trying to meet you. It was not much, but it was a start. The next morning, Detective Sullivan arrived with unexpected news. Vanessa Cole is here. She wants to see you. Natalie's first instinct was to refuse, but curiosity won. Fine, 5 minutes. Vanessa Cole was 28, blonde, and looked like she had not slept in weeks. Her eyes were red and swollen. When she saw Natalie's bandaged face, she gasped. Oh my God. Yeah, Natalie's voice was flat. That's what your boyfriend did to me. He's not my boyfriend. He was never my boyfriend. Vanessa sat down heavily. I thought he loved me. I thought his wife was the problem. He said you were controlling, unstable, that you threatened suicide if he left. That's a lie. I know that now, but he was convincing. He showed me texts he claimed were from you, called you crazy, made me feel like I was saving him. Natalie felt her anger building. And you believed him? Yes, I'm ashamed of that, but yes. Why are you here? Vanessa pulled a folder from her bag. Because I realized I was part of something terrible, and I need to make it right. She handed Natalie the folder. Inside were financial records, bank statements, emails, and a life insurance policy. Natalie's blood went cold as she read. Policyholder, Blake Warren, insured. Natalie Warren, benefit, $500,000. Beneficiary, Blake Warren. He was going to kill me anyway, Natalie whispered. That's what I think. The acid was just his weapon of choice. If you died from the attack, he'd get $500,000. Vanessa's voice shook, and I gave him the name of a chemical supply warehouse when he said he needed industrial strength cleaners for his office. You didn't know. That doesn't make me less responsible. Natalie looked at this woman, this other woman her husband had manipulated and used, and despite everything, she felt a strange kinship. He played us both, Natalie said. Yes. You thought you were in love with him. I thought a lot of stupid things. Are you testifying against him? If you want me to, the prosecutor says my testimony about the affair and the financial records will help establish motive and premeditation. Natalie considered. Then she said, testify. Show everyone who Blake Warren really is. After Vanessa left, Rebecca arrived with coffee and determination. You met with her? Rebecca asked. Yeah. And? And Blake lied to everyone. He isolated me. He manipulated her. He planned to kill me for insurance money. Natalie laughed bitterly. I was worth more dead than alive. Don't say that. It's true, $500,000. That was my value to buy him. Your value to him is meaningless. Your value is what you decide it is. Natalie touched her bandaged face. And what if I can't decide? What if I look in the mirror and I still don't know who I am? Then I'll remind you every day. You're Natalie. You're a teacher. You're going to be an amazing mother. You're my best friend. You're a survivor. And apparently you're also Caroline Sinclair. I don't know how to be all those people. One day at a time, one breath at a time. The baby kicked. Natalie counted 1 through 20. She's active today, Rebecca said. She's always active. I think she knows things are chaotic out here. Have you thought about names? Not yet. I can't think about that until I know we're both going to be okay. You're going to be okay. How can you possibly know that? Rebecca grabbed Natalie's hand. Because I've known you for 10 years and you've never given up on anything. Not college, not your teaching career, not your students, and you're not giving up now. Natalie wanted to believe her, but belief felt like too much effort. That night, alone again, Natalie found herself thinking about Caroline, the little girl in the yellow sundress, the one who was loved and then lost. She had been that little girl. She just did not remember. What would her life have been like if Emma had not gotten sick? If Dr. Sinclair had found her? If she had grown up with a father who loved her? Different. Completely different. Better? Maybe. Maybe not. She would never know. All she had was now, this moment, this broken body, this complicated future. She placed both hands on her belly. Your name is going to be Caroline, she said to her daughter. Caroline Hope, after the little girl I used to be. And hope, because that's what we need right now. The baby kicked in response, 7 times. Natalie counted each one and decided that was answer enough. Tomorrow, reconstruction would begin. Dr. Sinclair would start rebuilding her face. And maybe, while he rebuilt her outside, Natalie could figure out how to rebuild her inside. One surgery at a time, one day at a time, one kick at a time. The second surgery was scheduled for early morning. Natalie woke at 5, unable to sleep, counting her baby's kicks like a meditation. 37 kicks before the nurse came in. Each one a reminder that life continued even when everything fell apart. Dr. Sinclair arrived at 6. He was wearing surgical scrubs and an expression that was equal parts professional and paternal. How are you feeling? And he asked. Terrified. That's honest. Good. What if it doesn't work? It will work. I've done this procedure hundreds of times. Not on your daughter, he paused. No, not on my daughter. Do you want me to recuse myself? I can have Dr. Mitchell take over. Natalie considered it, then shook her head. No, I want you. Why? Because you're the best, and because I need to start trusting someone. Something shifted in Dr. Sinclair's face. Gratitude, relief. I won't let you down, he said. The surgery took 6 hours. They used skin grafts from Natalie's thigh to reconstruct her cheeks, rebuilt her nose using cartilage grafts, worked on her forehead and chin to restore symmetry. Natalie was under general anesthesia, but somehow she dreamed. She dreamed of a woman singing, of lavender, of a teddy bear with one missing eye. When she woke in recovery, Dr. Sinclair was sitting beside her bed. How do you feel? He asked. Like I was hit by a truck. That's about right. How did it go? Very well. The graphs took beautifully. You'll need more procedures, but this was a major step. Natalie reached for her face, but he caught her hand. Not yet. Give it a few days to heal. I can't see it? Not until the bandages come off, doctor's orders. Natalie laughed despite the pain. You're enjoying this? Maybe a little. Rebecca arrived an hour later with flowers and gossip from Natalie's school. The other teachers were asking about her. The principal sent a care package. Her students made get well cards. One card in particular made Natalie cry. It was from Sophia Martinez, a quiet third grader who struggled with reading. Dear Miss Morgan, I miss you. Mr. Henderson is nice, but he doesn't explain things like you do. I hope you come back soon. Love, Sophia. Below the words was a drawing of a woman with a big smile and hearts around her head. She drew you, Rebecca said gently. She drew who I used to be. She drew her teacher. That hasn't changed. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, Blake Warren was being transported back to face charges. Detective Sullivan called with an update. We've got him in custody. He'll be arraigned tomorrow. The DA is charging him with attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and multiple counts of fraud and identity theft. What's the sentence if he's convicted? Natalie asked. Attempted murder alone carries 25 years to life. With the other charges, he's looking at 40 years minimum. Good. There's something else. Blake's lawyer is already making noise about a plea deal. Natalie's grip tightened on the phone. What kind of deal? He'd plead guilty to aggravated assault in exchange for a lighter sentence. 10 to 15 years instead of 40. No, absolutely not. I told them you'd say that. But Natalie, if this goes to trial, you'll have to testify. Relive everything. Face him in court. I don't care. He tried to murder me and my baby. He destroyed my face. He stole everything. 10 years isn't enough. Detective Sullivan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, all right, we'll prepare for trial. After the call, Natalie sat with her hands shaking. The thought of seeing Blake again made her physically ill. But the thought of him getting a lighter sentence was worse. She would testify. She would face him. And she would make sure he spent the rest of his life in prison. The next day, Dr. Sinclair brought dinner from a real restaurant. Not hospital food, actual homemade pasta from his kitchen. You cook? Natalie asked, surprised. I learned after Emma died, had to do something with my hands. They ate in comfortable silence. The pasta was good. The company was better. After a while, Dr. Sinclair said, can I tell you a story? Sure. When you were 2, you went through a phase where you only wanted to wear your red rain boots. Every day, even when it wasn't raining, even with dresses. Emma tried to argue, but you'd throw these tiny tantrums until she gave in. Red rain boots? Bright red, with frogs on them. You love those boots more than anything. He smiled at the memory. I have photos somewhere. You at the beach in your rain boots, at the park, at your second birthday party. Red boots in every picture. Natalie tried to imagine it. Failed. I don't remember. I didn't expect you to, but I remember, and I want you to know who you were. Who was I? Strong-willed, stubborn, joyful. You laughed at everything. You made up songs, you collected rocks and insisted they were treasures. His voice grew softer. You were loved, Caroline. Even if you don't remember, you were so loved. Natalie felt her throat tighten. Don't call me Caroline. That's not my name. I know, I'm sorry. Old habit. My name is Natalie. I know. They finished eating in silence. Before he left, Dr. Sinclair turned back. I kept everything, he said, your toys, your clothes, your books, even those red rain boots, if you ever want to see them. Why would I want to see them? Because they're yours. They've always been yours. And when you're ready, they'll be waiting. After he left, Natalie lay in the dark, thinking about red rain boots and a little girl who loved them. That girl felt like a stranger. But maybe with time, Natalie could learn to know her. 2 weeks later, the bandages came off. Natalie insisted on being alone for the reveal, just her and a mirror. Dr. Sinclair had protested but eventually agreed. This was something she needed to do by herself. The nurse removed the bandages slowly, layer after layer. Natalie kept her eyes closed until everything was off. Ready? The nurse asked. No, but do it anyway. The nurse handed her the mirror. Natalie opened her eyes. The face looking back was different. The scars were still there, but less angry now, more integrated. Her cheekbones had shape again. Her nose was proportional. Her forehead was smooth. She looked like a woman who had been through hell, but she also looked like a woman who had survived. Hello, she whispered to her reflection. I'm Natalie. Nice to meet you. It was not love, but it was acceptance, and that was enough for now. When Dr. Sinclair checked on her later, he found her still staring in the mirror. What do you think? He asked carefully. I think I look different now. Do you hate it? No, I don't hate it. She turned to face him. I don't love it either, but I can live with it. That's a start. Yeah, it is. That night, Natalie had a dream. She was 3 years old, wearing red rain boots, jumping in puddles. A woman watched her laughing. The woman had kind eyes and smelled like lavender. Higher, Mama, dreamed Natalie shouted. Be careful, Caroline, the woman said. Natalie woke with tears on her face. The first memory that felt real. The first glimpse of who she used to be. Caroline Sinclair had been loved, even if Natalie Morgan did not remember. And maybe that was enough. The official DNA results arrived with clinical language in irrefutable numbers. 99.99% probability of paternity. Dr. James Sinclair was Natalie's biological father. She was Caroline Marie Sinclair, missing since June 15, 1999. A press conference was held. Dr. Sinclair handled the media with practiced professionalism. Yes, his daughter had been found after 26 years. No, he would not discuss her current medical situation. Yes, it was a miracle. No, there would be no further comments. Natalie watched the press conference from her hospital bed, saw her father handle reporters with grace, saw him protect her, even from afar. He's good at this, Rebecca said, sitting beside her. He's had practice. He's a surgeon. Surgeons are good at controlling situations. Are you okay with all this publicity? I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. Natalie touched her stomach. 8 months pregnant now, baby Caroline Hope was running out of room in there. The kicks were less frequent, but more powerful. What if I can't do this? Natalie asked quietly. Do what? Be a mother, have a father, testify against Blake. All of it. Rebecca turned to face her fully. Nat, you've survived an acid attack while pregnant. You've learned your entire identity was different than you thought. You've rebuilt your face. If you can do all that, you can do anything. That's different. I didn't choose those things. They happened to me. And you're choosing how to respond. That's the hard part. And you're doing it anyway. 3 days later, Dr. Sinclair invited Natalie to his home. She was reluctant but curious. Rebecca drove her, staying close as moral support. Dr. Sinclair's house was a beautiful colonial in a quiet neighborhood. Inside, it was neat but lived in. Medical journals on the coffee table, photos on the walls, and one door that was closed. That was your room, Dean, he said, noticing her looking. I kept it exactly as it was. Can I see it? Are you sure? Natalie nodded. He opened the door. The room was frozen in time. A toddler bed with a pink comforter, toys on shelves, books stacked neatly, and on the dresser, a pair of bright red rain boots with frogs on them. Natalie stepped inside slowly, touched the bed, the toys, the boots. I lived here, she said, for 3 years. This was your whole world. Natalie picked up the red boots. They were tiny, size 6 toddler. She tried to imagine her feet fitting inside them. I don't remember, she said. I should remember, but I don't. You were 3 when you disappeared. Most people don't have clear memories from that age. But you do. You remember everything. I'm your father. I held on to every memory like a lifeline. Natalie set down the boots and picked up a stuffed teddy bear. It had one missing eye. This was in my dream, she said suddenly. This bear. I dreamed about it. That's Mr. Buttons. You named him. You took him everywhere. Natalie clutched the bear, 30 years old and holding a childhood toy like it was the most important thing in the world. Can I keep this? She asked. Caroline, Natalie, everything in this room is yours. It always has been. Natalie took Mr. Buttons back to her hospital room. That night, she slept with him next to her pillow, and she dreamed of lavender again. The next morning, she woke to find Dr. Sinclair in her room. "I need to tell you something," he said, "and you're not going to like it." Natalie sat up. "What happened?" Blake's lawyer filed a motion. He wants to delay the trial, citing pretrial publicity. He claims his client can't get a fair trial because of the media attention around our reunion. That's not fair. No, it's not. The prosecutor is fighting it, but it might mean waiting longer for justice. Natalie felt her anger rising. He gets to sit in jail comfortably while I deal with all this? He's not comfortable, trust me. County jail isn't pleasant. Good, I hope he's miserable. Dr. Sinclair sat down. Natalie, I need to ask you something personal. Okay. Have you thought about after the trial, after the baby is born? Where will you go? I don't know. The house is foreclosed. I'm staying in emergency domestic violence housing once I'm discharged. I have a better idea. Natalie waited. Come home, he said. You and the baby. Come home to my house. I have 3 empty bedrooms. I can help with childcare while you recover. You won't be alone. I can't just move in with you. Why not? Because I barely know you. So get to know me. I have 26 years to catch up on. Let me help you. Natalie wanted to refuse. Independence was important. She had always taken care of herself, but she was so tired, and the idea of not being alone was tempting. Can I think about it? She asked. Of course, take all the time you need. Later that day, Vanessa Cole called in. Natalie, it's Vanessa. I wanted to let you know I met with the prosecutor. I'm testifying at the trial. Thank you. I also wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I know it doesn't change anything, but I need you to know I never would have been with him if I'd known the truth. Natalie considered her words carefully. He lied to both of us. He's good at lying. He is, and I fell for every word. Vanessa paused. How are you doing? Really? I'm surviving. Some days that's all I can manage. I'm in therapy now, processing my role in all this. My therapist says I was manipulated, but I still made choices. We both made choices. His were worse. Thank you for saying that. After the call, Natalie sat with complicated feelings. Anger at Vanessa for sleeping with Blake, sympathy for Vanessa for being manipulated, gratitude for Vanessa's testimony. Human emotions were never simple. That night, Natalie made a decision. She called Dr. Sinclair. I'll move in, she said, after the baby is born, if the offer still stands. Of course it stands. But we need ground rules. Name them. You don't get to make decisions for me. I'm not 3 anymore. I'm an adult. Agreed. And I pay rent when I can. I'm not a charity case. Natalie, no, I need this. I need to contribute. Fine, we'll figure out a fair arrangement. And we're not calling me Caroline. I'm Natalie. I understand. Okay then, I'll come home. The words felt strange. Home. She had never really had one. Just a series of foster houses and then an apartment with a Blake that had never felt safe. Maybe Dr. Sinclair's house could be home. Eventually. 1 week later, Natalie went into labor. It was 3 in the morning. She woke to contractions and immediately knew. Rebecca, she called. Rebecca was sleeping in the chair beside her bed, keeping her company. Rebecca, it's time. Rebecca jolted awake. Time? Are you sure? Pretty sure. The nurses were called. Dr. Hayes arrived. Dr. Sinclair appeared somehow, still in his scrubs from a late surgery. I'm here, he said. Do you want me here? Natalie grabbed his hand. Yes, stay. The labor was fast, only 4 hours from first contraction to pushing. Baby Caroline Hope was apparently as stubborn as her mother. The pain was intense, but Natalie barely noticed. All she could think about was meeting her daughter. The baby she had protected through acid and surgery and trauma. The baby who had kicked her way through the worst moments of Natalie's life. One more push, Dr. Hayes said. Natalie pushed with everything she had, and then a cry filled the room, sharp and indignant and absolutely perfect. It's a girl, Dr. Hayes announced. They placed the baby on Natalie's chest. She was tiny and red and screaming her displeasure at the world. Hello, Caroline Hope, Natalie whispered. I'm your mama, and nobody is ever going to hurt you. The baby quieted at her voice, opened her eyes, looked up at Natalie with that unfocused newborn gaze. Natalie started crying. She's perfect. Oh my God, she's perfect. Dr. Sinclair stood beside the bed, tears streaming down his face. "May I?" he asked, reaching out tentatively. Natalie nodded. He took his granddaughter's tiny hand. "Hello, Carolyn Hope. I'm your grandfather, and I will make up for every day I wasn't there for your mother." Rebecca was crying too. The nurse was crying. Even Dr. Hayes looked emotional. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, the nurse announced. 20 inches long, completely healthy. Natalie could not stop staring at her daughter, this tiny human she had created, this miracle. "I did it," she whispered. "We did it, baby girl. We survived." 3 days later, Natalie and baby Caroline Hope were discharged from the hospital. Dr. Sinclair drove them to his house, to their new home. He had converted his home office into a nursery, a crib with a mobile, a changing table, a rocking chair by the window. Natalie stood in the doorway, holding her daughter, looking at the room her father had created. "You did all this?" she asked. "I had help." Rebecca picked out the mobile. The hospital social worker recommended the chair. "But yes, I put it together." "Why?" He looked at her like the answer was obvious. "Because you're my daughter, and she's my granddaughter, and I've waited 26 years to have family back in this house." Natalie felt something break open in her chest, not pain, something gentler. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do." That night, Natalie sat in the rocking chair, feeding her daughter at 2 in the morning. The house was quiet. The world outside was dark. But in this small nursery, with her baby in her arms and her father asleep down the hall, Natalie felt something she had not felt in a very long time. Safe. She touched her scarred face with one hand, counted her daughter's breaths with the other. Blake had tried to destroy her. Instead, he had revealed who she really was. A survivor, a mother, a daughter, a woman who could burn and still bloom. "I love you, Caroline Hope," she whispered. "We're going to be okay. I promise." The baby made a small sound and snuggled closer. And for the first time in months, Natalie believed her own words. They were going to be okay. 2 months after Caroline Hope's birth, Natalie returned to the hospital for another surgery. Dr. Sinclair had assembled his full reconstructive team. This procedure would refine the earlier work, soften the scars, restore more natural contours to her face. "This is the big one," he explained the night before. "After this, you'll need maybe 1 or 2 minor touch-ups, but the major reconstruction will be complete." Natalie nodded. She was nervous, not about the surgery itself, but about what came after. Who would she see in the mirror when this was done? Rebecca arrived early to watch Caroline Hope. The baby was thriving, growing, nursing like a champion. She had Natalie's eyes and Dr. Sinclair's chin. "She's going to be a heartbreaker," Rebecca said, holding her goddaughter. "She's going to be strong," Natalie corrected. "That's more important." The surgery took 9 hours. Skin grafts from Natalie's thigh were used again, this time to smooth her cheeks, refine her jawline, create more natural transitions between repaired and original tissue. Dr. Sinclair worked with precision and care. Every suture was perfect, every placement deliberate. This was his daughter. He would accept nothing less than his absolute best work. When Natalie woke in recovery, the first thing she felt was pain. The second was relief that it was over. "How did it go?" she asked groggily. "Perfect," Dr. Sinclair said. "The grafts look beautiful. Your face is going to heal wonderfully." "When can I see?" 2 weeks. We need to let the swelling go down and the grafts integrate fully." Natalie groaned. 2 more weeks of bandages. 2 more weeks of healing. During her recovery, Natalie's school called. Principal Martinez wanted to know if she planned to return to teaching. "I don't know," Natalie admitted. "I want to, but I'm not sure if I can." "Because of your face?" the principal asked gently. "Because of everything. My face, my baby, the trial coming up. I'm barely holding it together." "The kids miss you. They ask about you every day." That made Natalie cry. "They do?" "Of course they do. You're a wonderful teacher. And these kids, they don't care about scars. They care about whether you believe in them." "I need more time." "Take all the time you need. Your position will be here when you're ready." 1 week into recovery, Detective Sullivan called. We have a trial date, 3 months from now, January 15th. Natalie's stomach dropped. That's soon. The DA wants to move quickly. Blake's lawyer keeps filing motions trying to delay. We want to shut that down. What do I need to do? Prepare to testify, man. The prosecutor will work with you on your statement. And Natalie, this is going to be hard. Blake will be in the courtroom. His lawyer will cross-examine you. It's going to feel invasive. I don't care. I want him in prison. Good. That's the attitude we need. After the call, Natalie sat with Caroline Hope in her arms. The baby was sleeping, her tiny fists curled against Natalie's chest. Your daddy is a bad man, Natalie whispered. But you're never going to know him. I promise you that. Dr. Sinclair found her an hour later, still sitting in the same position. Want to talk about it? He asked. The trial is in 3 months. I know. Detective Sullivan called me too. I have to testify. I know. I have to see him again. I'll be there with you in the courtroom. You won't be alone. Natalie looked up at her father. Why are you being so good to me? Because I'm your father. This is what fathers do. You missed 26 years. You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything. 26 years of birthday parties, school plays, teaching you to drive, helping with homework, walking you down the aisle. His voice cracked. I missed all of it. So if I can be here for this, I'm going to be here. Natalie felt tears spilling over. I'm scared. Of the trial. Of everything. Of failing Caroline. Of Blake getting out someday. Of never feeling normal again. Dr. Sinclair sat beside her. Can I tell you something my father told me when I was in medical school? Okay. I was terrified of my first surgery, absolutely convinced I'd mess it up. My father said, James, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing the right thing even when you're terrified. You're terrified, but you're still showing up. That's courage. It doesn't feel like courage. It feels like survival. Sometimes they're the same thing. 2 weeks after surgery, the bandages came off. Natalie insisted on privacy again, just her and the mirror. The nurse removed the gauze slowly. Natalie kept her eyes closed until it was done. Ready? The nurse asked. No, but give me the mirror anyway. She opened her eyes. The woman in the mirror was not the old Natalie, but she was not the monster from the hospital either. She was someone new, someone who had been broken and rebuilt. Her face had scars, yes. They would always be there, but they were softer now, integrated. Part of her story rather than the whole story. Her cheekbones had shape. Her nose was proportional. Her eyes, unchanged by the acid, looked back at her with something that might eventually become pride. Hello, she said to her reflection. I'm Natalie Morgan. No, wait, I'm Caroline Sinclair. No, that's not right either. She paused, tried again. I'm Natalie Sinclair, daughter, mother, teacher, survivor. The name felt right, a blend of who she was and who she had always been. When Dr. Sinclair checked on her, he found her still staring in the mirror. What do you think? He asked. I think I look different. Is that okay? It's more than okay. I look like someone who survived. She turned to face him. I look like me. Dr. Sinclair's eyes filled with tears. You do. You look exactly like you. That night, Natalie requested a meeting with the prosecutor. District Attorney Jennifer Chen arrived with files and determination. Mrs. Warren, Ms. Sinclair, Natalie corrected. I'm going back to my real name, Natalie Sinclair. Ms. Sinclair, let's talk about the trial. Blake's defense team is going to argue temporary insanity. They'll claim he snapped under financial pressure. That's garbage. He bought the acid 3 weeks early. He researched prison sentences. That's premeditation. I agree, and that's what will show the jury. But his lawyer will try to paint you as controlling. They'll say you drove him to it. Natalie felt her anger rise. So I'm on trial too? That's how defense works. They attack the victim to excuse the perpetrator. I need you prepared for that. Tell me what to do. They practiced for hours, question after question. Natalie's answers became smoother, more confident. She learned to stay calm when the prosecutor played defense attorney and attacked her character. Remember, D.A. Chen said at the end, tell the truth, stay factual, don't let them see you cry. Juries reward strength. I can be strong. I know you can. 1 month before the trial, Vanessa Cole requested another meeting. She arrived at Dr. Sinclair's house nervously, clutching her purse. "Thank you for seeing me," she said. "What do you want?" Natalie asked. She was feeding Caroline hope but stayed in the room. "I wanted to tell you I'm testifying, but also I wanted to apologize. Properly. Not just for the affair. For believing his lies about you. For not questioning why a pregnant woman would be as terrible as he claimed." "Why didn't you question it?" "Because I wanted to believe him. Because believing him meant I wasn't a terrible person for being with him." Vanessa's voice shook. "I'm in therapy now, working on why I was so easy to manipulate. My therapist says I have patterns. We all have patterns. Mine almost got you killed." Natalie looked at this woman, Blake's mistress, Blake's other victim. "You gave the prosecutor the life insurance policy information," Natalie said. "That evidence might be what convicts him of premeditated attempted murder instead of just assault." "I hope so. Then we're even." "We're not even. We'll never be even. But I appreciate you saying it." After Vanessa left, Rebecca turned to Natalie. "That was generous of you." "What was?" "Forgiving her." "I didn't forgive her. I just don't have the energy to hate her anymore. Blake's the one who deserves my hate. She's just someone he used. You've changed." "I've had to." The night before the first day of trial, Natalie could not sleep. She sat in the rocking chair in Caroline Hope's nursery, holding her sleeping daughter, counting her breaths. Dr. Sinclair found her at 3 in the morning. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Too nervous." "Want some tea?" They went downstairs. He made chamomile tea with honey, the way Emma used to make it. "I'm scared," Natalie admitted. "Not of Blake. Of breaking down in court. Of giving him the satisfaction of seeing me cry." "Then don't cry there. Cry here. Cry now. Get it out." So she did. She cried for the woman she used to be, for the face she lost, for the innocence that died when Blake threw that acid. She cried for Caroline Sinclair, the little girl who got lost, for Natalie Morgan, the foster kid who thought she had finally found family. She cried until she had no tears left, and then she straightened her shoulders and said, "Okay, I'm ready." Ready for what? To face him, to tell my truth, to make sure he never hurts anyone else. Dr. Sinclair raised his mug. "To courage." "To survival," Natalie corrected. They clinked mugs. Tomorrow the trial would begin. Tomorrow she would face her attacker. Tomorrow she would tell the world what Blake Warren had done. But tonight she was home, with her daughter, with her father, with people who loved her. And that was enough. The courthouse was packed with media and spectators. Natalie walked in with her head high, Dr. Sinclair on one side, Rebecca on the other. She wore a simple navy dress that Rebecca had helped her pick out. Professional, dignified, strong. She had decided not to wear makeup to cover her scars. Let the jury see what Blake had done. When Blake was led into the courtroom in his orange jumpsuit, Natalie forced herself to look at him. He looked smaller than she remembered, thinner. His hair was longer, unkempt, but his eyes were the same, cold, calculating. He looked at her and smiled slightly, like they were sharing a private joke. Natalie stared back without expression. She would not give him the satisfaction of fear. The prosecution's opening statement was powerful. D.A. Chen laid out the evidence methodically. The purchased acid, the insurance policy, the affair, the financial crimes, the premeditation. This was not a crime of passion, she told the jury. This was an execution attempt. Blake Warren planned to murder his pregnant wife for insurance money. When she survived, he fled. That is not the behavior of a man who snapped. That is the behavior of a calculated predator. Blake's lawyer, a slick defense attorney named Robert Morrison, painted a different picture. Blake Warren is a man who made mistakes, bad mistakes. But he is not a monster. He was drowning in debt. His marriage was failing. He felt trapped. In a moment of desperation, he did something terrible. But temporary insanity is real. And that's what we're dealing with here. Natalie wanted to scream, temporary insanity, as if throwing acid on your pregnant wife was just a bad day. The first witness was Mrs. Davidson, the neighbor who had called 911. "I heard screaming," she testified. "Terrible screaming, I ran outside and saw Natalie on her porch. Her face was— Mrs. Davidson's voice broke. I'm a retired nurse. I've seen a lot. But that was the worst thing I've ever seen. Next came the paramedics who had responded, the emergency room doctors, each one describing the extent of Natalie's injuries in clinical detail. The jury looked horrified. On day 2, Detective Sullivan testified about the investigation. He presented the laptop evidence, the gambling websites, the texts with Vanessa, the searches about acid attacks and prison sentences. This was purchased 3 weeks before the attack, he said, holding up receipts. Industrial-grade sulfuric acid, bought under a false name, hidden in the garage. Blake's lawyer tried to argue the purchase didn't prove intent. Detective Sullivan responded calmly, then what was it for? What possible legitimate reason would a financial consultant have for buying acid capable of dissolving human tissue? No answer. On day 3, Vanessa Cole took the stand. She was nervous, but composed. She described the affair, the lies Blake had told about Natalie, the financial records she had unknowingly helped him manipulate. He told me she was unstable, Vanessa said, that she threatened to kill herself if he left. He showed me texts supposedly from her. They were vicious, controlling. Were those texts real? Chen asked. No, I later learned he had fabricated them. Used a text spoofing app. He wanted me to hate her so I wouldn't question him. Blake's lawyer cross-examined aggressively. Ms. Cole, you were having an affair with a married man. Isn't it possible you're lying now to absolve yourself of guilt? I was having an affair. That's true. I'm guilty of that. But I didn't try to kill anyone. Blake did. You benefited from Blake's insurance plan. He told you about it, didn't he? Yes. He said after the divorce he'd have money to start over with me. I didn't know the money was contingent on Natalie dying. So you claim. I'm not claiming anything. I'm testifying to the truth. Rebecca testified next. She described years of watching Blake isolate Natalie, control her finances, gaslight her about his gambling. Natalie defended him, Rebecca said. Every time I raised concerns, she had an explanation. He's stressed, he's tired, he's worried about money. She couldn't see what I saw, that he was systematically breaking her down. Why didn't she leave? Morrison asked on cross-examination. Because abuse is insidious. It doesn't start with acid, it starts with small things, little criticisms, subtle isolation. By the time it escalates, the victim believes they deserve it. So you're saying Mrs. Warren was weak? No, I'm saying she was human. And humans want to believe the people they love won't hurt them. On day 5, it was Natalie's turn. She had been waiting for this, dreading this, preparing for this. DHN called her to the stand. Natalie walked up slowly, aware of every eye in the courtroom. She placed her hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. She sat down and looked directly at the jury, not at Blake, never at Blake. Ms. Sinclair, DHN began, please tell the jury about August 15th of last year, the night you were attacked. Natalie took a breath. I came home from parent-teacher conferences around 8:30. I was 6 months pregnant, tired, looking forward to putting my feet up. What happened when you entered your home? Blake was standing in the kitchen. The lights were off. I could see him in the darkness. He had a bottle in his hand. Did you recognize what was in the bottle? No, I thought it was water, or maybe alcohol. I asked him what was wrong. What did he say? He said I ruined everything, that I couldn't leave things alone, that I had to ask questions. Natalie's voice remained steady, factual. Then he threw the contents of the bottle at my face. What happened next? Pain, immediate, intense pain. Like my face was on fire, I fell to my knees. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. All I knew was that I was dying. But you didn't die. No, I crawled to the front door. I needed help. I needed to save my baby. Your baby? I was pregnant. I'm a mother. Mothers don't give up. DHN showed the jury photos of Natalie's injuries from that night. The courtroom gasped. Some jurors covered their mouths. Ms. Sinclair, those are difficult images to look at. How did you survive? My neighbor called 911. The paramedics were incredible. The doctors saved me, and I refused to die. Why did you refuse to die? Natalie touched her stomach instinctively. Because my daughter needed me. She still needs me. Chen nodded. Let's talk about your relationship with Blake before the attack. Were there warning signs? Looking back, yes. He became secretive about 8 months before. Defensive when I asked about our finances. Angry when I questioned late nights at work. Did you find out why he was secretive? He was gambling and having an affair and stealing from our joint accounts. When did you discover this? 2 days before the attack. I found charges on our credit card, gambling websites. When I confronted him, he said it was nothing, that I was overreacting. But it wasn't nothing. No, he had lost $60,000, taken a second mortgage on our house without my knowledge, emptied our savings account, maxed out credit cards in my name. How did that make you feel? Betrayed, scared, but I thought we could work through it. I thought marriage meant facing problems together. Natalie paused. I was wrong. Blake didn't want to face problems. He wanted to eliminate them. And by eliminate, you mean? He tried to murder me. The courtroom was silent. Then Morrison stood for cross-examination. Ms. Sinclair, you admit you confronted my client about his finances. You were angry, weren't you? I was upset, yes. He had stolen our money. So you argued with him. We had a discussion, a heated discussion. I was concerned about our financial situation. That's normal. Isn't it true you threatened to leave him? Yes, after I found out about the affair. So you threatened his life as he knew it, his home, his child, his future. Natalie felt her anger rise but kept her voice level. I threatened to leave a marriage that was built on lies. That's not the same thing as throwing acid on someone's face. But you pushed him, you cornered him, you made him feel trapped. Nothing I did made him try to murder me. That was his choice. My client claims he doesn't remember the attack, that he blacked out from stress. Then why did he buy the acid 3 weeks early? Why did he research prison sentences? Why did he flee after? Those aren't the actions of someone who blacked out. Morrison changed tactics. Ms. Sinclair, you're suing my client for damages, aren't you? Yes, for medical expenses and pain and suffering. So you have a financial incentive to see him convicted. I have a personal incentive to see him in prison, so he never does this to anyone else. You also recently discovered you're the daughter of Dr. James Sinclair, a wealthy plastic surgeon. Isn't it convenient that your surgeon turned out to be your long-lost father? D.A. Chen objected. Relevance? The judge sustained. Morrison moved on. Miss Sinclair, according to your medical records, you suffered from depression during your pregnancy. You were prescribed medication. Brief prenatal depression. Very common. Isn't it possible you were unstable? That my client was scared of your mental state? I was never unstable. And even if I was, that wouldn't justify attempted murder. But it might explain why my client felt threatened. Natalie had had enough. She leaned forward and looked directly at Blake for the first time. I was 6 months pregnant. I weighed 140 pounds. Blake is 6'2" and 200 pounds. If he felt threatened by me asking questions about money, he could have left. He could have gotten therapy. He could have done anything except try to burn my face off. The jury was riveted. Morrison had no more questions. As Natalie stepped down, her water broke. She felt the gush and looked down in shock. My baby, she said. Chaos erupted. Dr. Sinclair rushed forward. The judge called recess. Paramedics were summoned. And Blake? Blake looked annoyed that his trial had been interrupted. That expression would haunt the jury's memories. Natalie gave birth to Caroline Hope in the hospital while the trial recessed for 3 days. When court resumed, the defense rested without calling Blake to testify. Morrison knew his client would destroy himself on the stand. Closing arguments were powerful on both sides. D.A. Chen reminded the jury of the evidence. Premeditation, insurance money, a fleeing suspect. This is attempted murder. Don't let his lawyer's smoke and mirrors obscure the truth. Morrison argued temporary insanity. A good man who made one terrible mistake in a moment of psychological crisis. Punish him, yes, but don't call him a monster. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the foreman stood. On the charge of attempted murder. How do you find? Guilty. Natalie felt her knees weaken. Rebecca caught her arm. On the charge of assault with a deadly weapon? Guilty. On the charges of fraud and identity theft? Guilty on all counts. Blake showed no emotion. He just stared straight ahead. Sentencing was set for 2 weeks later. When that day came, Blake was given 40 years to life. No parole eligibility for 35 years. He would be 72 years old before he could even apply for release. The judge's final words were cutting. Mr. Warren, you are not a victim of circumstance. You are a predator who planned to murder your pregnant wife for money. You will spend the rest of your productive life in prison thinking about the moment you chose violence over humanity. Gavel, it was over. Natalie walked out of the courthouse with her head high. Dr. Sinclair carried baby Caroline Hope. Rebecca held Natalie's hand. Outside, reporters shouted questions. Natalie stopped and faced the cameras. I want to say something, she announced. The crowd quieted. To anyone watching who is in an abusive relationship, please hear me. Abuse doesn't start with acid, it starts with small things. Isolation, control, gaslighting. If someone makes you feel small, if someone makes you doubt yourself, if someone makes you afraid, that's abuse. And you deserve better. You deserve safety. You deserve love. Please reach out to friends, to family, to domestic violence hotlines. You can survive this. I'm proof. Then she turned and walked away. Blake Warren was gone, locked away for decades. And Natalie Sinclair was free. 6 months after the trial, Natalie stood in her third-grade classroom for the first time in over a year. Principal Martinez had offered her a slower return to work. Part-time, team teaching, support staff available. But Natalie wanted to do this on her own terms. The students were new. None of them had been in her class before. They didn't know her story. To them, she was just a Miss Sinclair, their teacher with scars on her face. Good morning, class, she said. 22 third graders stared at her, some with curiosity, some with the brutal honesty of children. One hand shot up, a boy named Marcus. Yes, Marcus? Ms. Sinclair, what happened to your face? The classroom went silent. The teaching assistant tensed, but Natalie smiled. That's a good question, Marcus. Someone hurt me very badly, but I healed, and that's what I want you to remember. People can hurt us, but we can heal. We're stronger than we think. Marcus considered this, then he said, My dad says scars mean you're a warrior. Your dad is right. Another hand went up, a girl named Sophie. Are you going to be our teacher all year? I am. Good, Mr. Henderson was boring. The class laughed, and just like that, the tension broke. Natalie spent the day teaching, reading, math, science. It felt good to be back, to have purpose beyond survival. At pickup, one mother approached nervously. Miss Sinclair, I'm Marcus's mom. I wanted to apologize if he was rude. He wasn't rude. He was honest. I appreciate that. Still, I'll talk to him about appropriate questions. Please don't. I'd rather kids ask me directly than whisper behind my back. Honesty is kindness. Marcus's mom smiled with relief. Thank you, and welcome back. That night, Natalie came home exhausted but happy. Dr. Sinclair had Carolyn Hope in his arms, singing a lullaby, the same one Emma used to sing to Caroline Sinclair 29 years ago. How was the first day, he asked. Perfect, hard, good. That's a lot of adjectives. It was a lot of day. She took her daughter and sat in the living room. Carolyn Hope was 7 months old now, sitting up, babbling, reaching for everything. Mama, Carolyn said, patting Natalie's face with chubby hands. That's right, baby. Mama. Caroline touched the scars on Natalie's cheek with innocent curiosity. Not afraid, not disgusted, just exploring. She doesn't see the scars as ugly, Dr. Sinclair observed. She doesn't know they're supposed to be ugly. To her, this is just Mama's face. That's how everyone should see them. But they don't. Some people don't, but the people who matter do. Rebecca arrived with dinner, Chinese takeout from Natalie's favorite restaurant. Celebrating your first day back, she announced. They ate on the floor, Caroline Hope sitting between them, stealing noodles and making a mess. This is nice, Natalie said. This feels like family. It is family, Rebecca replied. Chosen family, the best kind. Later, after Rebecca left and Caroline was asleep, Natalie and Dr. Sinclair sat on the porch. I got a call today, he said, from a domestic violence advocacy group. They want you to speak at their annual conference. Really? You've become something of a symbol, a survivor who rebuilt her life. I don't know if I'm ready for that. Think about it. No pressure, but you have a powerful story. Natalie considered it. What would I even say? Tell the truth. That's what survivors need to hear. 1 month later, Natalie stood on a stage facing 200 women, all survivors of domestic violence, all rebuilding their lives. Her hands shook as she approached the microphone. My name is Natalie Sinclair, she began. A year ago, my husband threw acid on my face while I was 6 months pregnant. He planned to kill me for insurance money. Today he's in prison, and I'm here. I'm a teacher, a mother, a daughter, a survivor. She paused. I'm not going to tell you it was easy. It wasn't. There were days I wanted to give up, days I couldn't look in the mirror, days I thought the pain would never end. But here's what I learned. Survival isn't a feeling, it's a choice. Every morning I chose to keep going for my baby, for myself, for every woman who came before me, and every woman who will come after. If you're waiting for it to get bad enough to leave, it's already bad enough. You don't owe him another chance. You owe yourself a future. And to those of you who have already left, who are rebuilding, who are wondering if you'll ever feel whole again, you will. Maybe not the same as before, but better, stronger, more you than you've ever been. The acid took my face, but I took back my life, and that's the best revenge of all. Standing ovation, women crying, hugging each other, hugging Natalie. One woman approached after. Thank you, she said. I left my husband 3 months ago. Some days I regret it. Today you reminded me why I had to. You're brave, Natalie told us. So are you. After the conference, Natalie felt something shift. Her trauma had purpose. Her pain could help others. She started speaking regularly, at shelters, support groups, schools. Always the same message. You are stronger than you know. 1 year after the attack, Natalie and Dr. Sinclair visited Emma's grave. It was a small headstone in a quiet cemetery. Emma Sinclair, beloved wife and mother. Hi, Emma, Dr. Sinclair said quietly. I brought someone to meet you. Well, to meet you again. This is Caroline, our daughter. I found her. Natalie stood beside him, holding baby Caroline Hope. I wish I remembered you, Natalie said. But I remember the lavender and the singing. Thank you for that. They stood in silence for a while. Then Natalie said, I named my daughter after the little girl you loved, Caroline Hope, because even though you were sick, you loved me, and I wanted to honor that. As they left the cemetery, Dr. Sinclair took Natalie's hand. Your mother would be proud of you. You think? I know. She was a fighter too, before the illness. You have her strength. I have yours too. Then you're unstoppable. That night, as Natalie put Caroline Hope to bed, she sang the Lavender Lullaby, the one Emma sang, the one Dr. Sinclair still sang. The circle was complete. 3 generations, connected by trauma and love and determination. Natalie looked at her daughter sleeping peacefully, at the nursery her father had built, at the life she had reconstructed from ashes. I did it, she whispered. We did it, baby girl. We survived, and now we're thriving. She touched her scars gently, not with shame, with acknowledgement. You're part of me now, she told them. You're proof I survived. Thank you for reminding me I'm stronger than I ever knew. And for the first time since that terrible night, Natalie felt beautiful. Not despite her scars, because of what they represented. Survival, strength, second chances. She was Natalie Sinclair, teacher, mother, daughter, survivor. And she was exactly where she was supposed to be. 2 years after the attack, Natalie stood in her bathroom getting ready for an important day. She looked in the mirror. Really looked. The scars were still there. They would always be there. But they had faded, softened, become part of her landscape rather than the whole story. She saw her mother's eyes, her father's smile, her own hard-won strength. Hello, Natalie, she said to her reflection. You're still here, still fighting, still beautiful. Caroline Hope toddled into the bathroom, her little red rain boots squeaking on the tile. Yes, red rain boots with frogs. Dr. Sinclair had found an identical pair online. Caroline loved them as much as little Caroline Sinclair had 27 years ago. Mama, Mama, boots, Caroline announced, lifting one foot proudly. I see your boots, baby. They're perfect. Natalie finished getting ready and headed downstairs. Today was the grand opening of the Caroline Hope Center, a domestic violence resource center that Natalie had helped establish. Funded partly by her settlement from Blake's insurance company and partly by donations, the center would provide emergency housing, legal aid, counseling, and job training for survivors. Dr. Sinclair was already in the kitchen making breakfast. He had retired from surgery 6 months ago to focus on being a grandfather and supporting Natalie's advocacy work. Big day, he said, handing her coffee. Huge day. Nervous? Terrified. Good, that means it matters. Rebecca arrived to help with Caroline Hope. She would watch the toddler during the opening ceremony. Look at you, Rebecca said, hugging Natalie. Opening a domestic violence center. Speaking to senators, changing lives. Who would have thought? Not me, Natalie admitted. 2 years ago, I thought my life was over. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. The opening ceremony was emotional. 50 women attended, all survivors, some from Natalie's speaking events, some from local shelters, all looking for hope. Natalie cut the ribbon with shaking hands. I dedicate this center to every woman who has ever been told she's worthless, she said to the crowd. You're not. You're invaluable, and you deserve safety, support, and a second chance. Welcome to the Caroline Hope Center. Your future starts here. Applause, tears, hugs. One woman approached Natalie afterwards. She was young, maybe 23, with a black eye and a toddler on her hip. I left yesterday, the woman said quietly. I have nowhere to go. Can you help me? Yes, Natalie said immediately. Come with me. She personally helped the woman get intake paperwork started, found her temporary housing, connected her with legal aid. Why are you being so nice to me? The woman asked. Because someone was nice to me when I had nowhere to go, and now I'm paying it forward. That night, exhausted but fulfilled, Natalie returned home to find Dr. Sinclair reading to Caroline Hope. Grandpa, Grandpa, more, Caroline demanded, pointing at the book. One more page, he negotiated, then bedtime. Watching them, Natalie felt overwhelming gratitude for this man who had never stopped searching, for this daughter who had given her purpose, for this life she had built from ruins. After Caroline was asleep, Natalie and Dr. Sinclair sat on the porch with wine. I got a call today, he said, from the state legislature. They want to name a law after you. What kind of law? Increased penalties for acid attacks, mandatory minimum sentences. It would be called Natalie's Law. Oosh, Natalie felt tears welling up. Really? Your advocacy has made an impact. Politicians are paying attention. I don't want to be defined by what happened to me. You're not. You're defined by what you did after. That's the difference. 3 months later, Natalie stood in the state capitol as Natalie's Law was signed into existence. Blake Warren would hate it, knowing his crime led to harsher punishments for others like him. Good. That same week, Natalie ran into Vanessa at a coffee shop. It was awkward at first. They hadn't spoken since the trial. Hi, Vanessa said nervously. Hi. Congratulations on the center. I saw it on the news. Thank you. They stood in silence. Then Vanessa said, I'm engaged to a good man this time, someone who doesn't lie. I'm happy for you. Are you, really? Natalie considered the question honestly. Yes, Blake manipulated both of us. You move forward. That takes courage. I'm still sorry for my part in everything. I know, and I've forgiven you, not because you deserve it, because I deserve peace. They parted ways, not friends, but not enemies either, just two women whose lives had been changed by the same monster. On Caroline Hope's second birthday, they threw a party at Dr. Sinclair's house. 20 kids from the neighborhood, Caroline's daycare friends, Natalie's students, Rebecca, Dr. Sinclair, Grace the social worker, Detective Sullivan and his daughters, family, chosen and biological. Caroline Hope wore a princess dress and her red rain boots. She blew out candles with help from Natalie. Make a wish, baby, Natalie said. Caroline closed her eyes and wished for something only a 2-year-old could understand. Probably more cookies. As the party wound down and guests left, Natalie found herself alone in the kitchen with Dr. Sinclair. Thank you, she said. For what? For never giving up, for spending 26 years looking for me, for being here when I needed a father. Thank you for letting me be your father, for giving me a second chance. We gave each other second chances. Carol and Hope toddled over, sleepy and covered in frosting. Mama, Papa, turned. Papa, that's what she called Dr. Sinclair, not Grandpa. Papa. He scooped her up. Bedtime for birthday girls. Later, after Caroline was asleep, Natalie sat in the nursery watching her daughter breathe. She thought about how far she had come, from that terrible night when Blake threw acid, to this moment. 2 years, a lifetime. She was not the same person. She would never be that person again. But she was better, stronger, more herself than she had ever been. She touched her scars one last time. Thank you, she whispered, for reminding me I'm a survivor. Then she stood and walked to her own room, her home, her sanctuary. Tomorrow she would teach. Next week she would speak at another conference. Next month she would testify before a congressional committee about domestic violence prevention. But tonight she was just Natalie. Mother, daughter, survivor. And that was everything. The acid had taken her face, but she had taken back her life. And in the end, that was the best revenge of all. Not hate, not vengeance, but joy, love, purpose. Blake Warren was rotting in a prison cell, dying alone, his name synonymous with evil. Natalie Sinclair was surrounded by people who loved her, making a difference, her name synonymous with survival. She had won. Completely. Absolutely. Finally. And as she drifted off to sleep, her last thought was simple. I am not what happened to me. I am what I chose to become after. Survivor, fighter, mother, daughter, advocate, warrior. Natalie Sinclair. Alive. Thriving. Free. Natalie's story reminds us that we're stronger than we think. That survival isn't just about making it through the darkness. It's about finding light on the other side. If this story moved you, I'd love to know. Drop a comment telling me what resonated most. Was it Natalie's courage, the father-daughter reunion, or maybe something else entirely? Your thoughts matter, and if you know someone who needs to hear this message of hope, share this video with them. Sometimes a story is exactly what someone needs to take their next brave step. Hit that like button if you believe in second chances, and subscribe so you never miss another story of survival, hope, and the incredible resilience of the human spirit. Remember, you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become after. I'll see you in the next story.